understanding of why we do a thing should be guided by our scriptural knowledge of doing good for others and sacrificing the smaller interest for the greater good of all. I'm very glad to have Bosaraju Garu, who has lived a whole life in the service of mankind, service of humanity, and he made time to come here again. That is his sacrifice, to come and encourage this young budding startup festival, and which has gone to places now. Last year we started here, and I think any term sheet signed last year. Okay? Last year was just mentoring. No term sheets were signed. But this year, Jay Garu tells me that almost 150 term sheets have been signed, perhaps largest number, if you think from the point of view of the success of a startup festival. So 150 startups got a kind of a boost, a new energy, and also they're going to be mentored. It's not just about giving them some finances and leaving them on their own, but the idea is to help them end to end. And so many of them, just now Rajamohan Garu said, I'm not only here to help, I'm here to mentor these startups, and also he agreed to mentor the organization with his experience that he has had. So this is the kind of inspiration that this place has created for every one of us. I'm very appreciative of the fact that you have just not thought of your companies or your ideas alone, but you have thought of the greater good of the communities and societies that this startup festival and the companies that emerge from here will achieve. That is the kind of new world order that we seek to create, where everyone's welfare is included, not just ours, but everyone's welfare is included. That is the kind of society, that is the kind of business ecosystem, that is the kind of governance that we want to see in the world, which has not happened so far. Mahatma Gandhi ji gave the mantra of Grama Swaraj. Now, I was very touched. As young students, we read about our history, we read about the great personalities and their visionary ideas. Many people have given many visionary ideas, from Western philosophers to the Eastern saints and sages, but Mahatma Gandhiji's idea of Grama Swaraj stands out as a very unique and revolutionary idea. However, at that point in time in India, Gram Swaraj in literal terms means a village that is self-governed. That is the kind of, in the sense, whatever is needed for the village is provided within the village, including good governance. And that is how each village should be independent and self-governing and self-sufficient and self-sustaining. That is the idea of Grama Swaraj. India is a land of villages. We have 6.5 lakh villages from north to east and west to south. Everywhere we have villages. And Gandhiji thought about it as Grama Swaraj. However, at that point in time, the circumstances were such that this could not be achieved. A great balance had to be struck between the industrial revolution that India needed and also grassroots level innovation and the self-governance that India needed. Balancing both the ends, which were like literally the two ends of the spectrum, was a great task for the governments, for agencies of change, even for industries. So we could achieve a bit of it, a part of it in different ways, but the whole of it could not be achieved so far. But today, where India stands, it is one of the best times for India where it can achieve Grama Swaraj because of the penetration of technology in the rural areas, be it communication technology, information technology, transportation, digitization, financial inclusion, and the amount of education and other facilities, infrastructure that has reached to villages is capable of transforming villages at this point of time. I don't think this was doable so easily, at least 50 years ago. But today, definitely it is doable. But what is required for it? Not just the government. Bosaraju Garu will agree. Government, even if they do everything in their might and more, yet to include everyone, help everybody grow, is a Herculean task for the size of the country that we are. Now, we are 30 countries in one country. That is how we are. And to manage, you can imagine if somebody has to manage 30 countries together, it's not an easy task. So it needs public participation. It needs participation from the industry. It needs participation from all sectors of society. And that is the only way we can achieve Purna Grama Swaraj, where every village becomes self-sustaining, self-governing, self-sufficient. They don't have to migrate to the cities for the sake of jobs, for the sake of facilities, including education, healthcare, and other basic necessities. These should be available at the rural doorsteps. And that was the idea which I was being discussed with Jay Garu. All right, startups will happen, IT startups will happen, Many other fintech startups will happen. Most of this happens in the urban areas because urban area startups are, not that it is easy, but relatively easy compared to a rural startup. So naturally, you are going to be finding more people interested there. But can you do something to direct their thoughts, direct their energies, and channelize them to help rural economies? And that is when Jay Garu said, yes, Swamiji, we will do that. As the second chapter of the India Startup Festival, we'll take up this as the main theme, that innovations at the bottom of the pyramid. And that is how he conceived the entire program. And I was thinking, let us see how many of these people will turn up. Because rural startups, rural innovation is not the in thing, is not the most, is not a flavor of the times that we live in. But he managed to garner these many people, and for that he has worked for months without rest. Despite his personal challenges, he traveled, and every time I ask him, where are you? Now I'm in UK. Next, where are you? I'm in US. Where are you? So he's always, he has delocalized over the whole globe. And you have to really search and find him because he was so particular that this idea of rural innovation should take wings. It should not simply remain a discussion item, a nice to have talk and conversation, but it should be turned into actionables. And he has achieved it with the great team support from all of you. Gulati ji is there from the UK, London Chamber of Commerce. So also there are so many of others who have been helping this cause. And I am very glad that I found these many good people in the world who have come together. See, one single person cannot do a lot of good, but so many of us can achieve a lot. I was telling, if you want to tilt the balance, you all have to group up together, or rather gang up together as good gangs, and go to one end of the balance and tilt it. So we all need to get together. If we are scattered all around the balance will never be tilted in the favor of the poor and the weak. We have to shift the balance, and for that, all of us have to get together, work in unison to achieve the same vision, which is to provide opportunities, equitable opportunities, even to rural geographies, not just of India. Now, I don't think I can speak much of India because India Startup Festival now has truly become International Startup Festival. And so I'll have to speak for the whole world. And we travel around the world. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, that is the idea. Whole world is a family, and the most needy members of the family are there at the bottom of the pyramid. And this is how we have to go and serve in those areas. We as an organization work in several countries, almost 30 plus countries. Many of them are developed countries, many of them are just developing. Many of them are still not caught up with the world that we live in today. So we work in Africa, we work in South America, we work in North America, especially the southern region of the North America, the Delta region. And again, we work in Asia, we work in as far as Fiji Islands, which is in the South Pacific. And we have organizations set up there which does social good. And everywhere I see there is this difference between haves and have-nots, and most of the people are towards the haves, and naturally there is a demand, and that is the tax-paying or the revenue-generating community. Naturally, it has more say than those who are dependent on this revenue. But at the same time, I always try to remind the governments, the leaders, that this bottom of the pyramid is what is holding the pyramid in the first place. If that get dismantled and kind of breaks apart, the whole pyramid will come collapsing down. So our societies are built on these grassroots level people who are working hard. They may not be your biggest revenue contributors, but they are your consumers or future customers at this point in time. But they are the ones who are holding the society together. They are larger in numbers, and we have to respect their contribution, even if it is not visible. So one more thought that somebody told me today is that please recognize rural role models in the ISF festival who have done grassroots level innovations. They are not from the Ivy League institutions. They are not from the IIMs and IITs and IISCs. But they are people who may not even know how to speak English or how to even articulate or communicate or whatever, make an elevator pitch to the investors. But they are the ones who have found the problem and found a solution in their own way. In India, we call it the jugaad economy, So you have to kind of get those people also onto this platform and help them also to scale up their ideas and recognize some of these rural heroes, the unsung heroes of the country and the world on this platform. So while we have heroes like Rajmohan Garu and many more whom we met yesterday, each of them is an inspiration. How much they have done for the country and the community at large. They all could have taken the beaten path, of making billion-dollar businesses, making name for themselves, and finally retiring in some Florida-like place. But then they have decided not to do that. They continue to battle for the benefit of all. They're the people who are real heroes who have to be celebrated. And I think I must add one name to that list of heroes. That is J. Chaudhary Garu, who has taken up a new vision, a new mission. At this age, most people hang their boots and say, we have done enough. And now we'll play with our grandkids and, relax in a retreat-like place. But he said, Swamiji, you have given a new vision to us. I want to take it up. I want to make sure that this festival grows strength to strength with every passing year. I want to ensure that the best of the minds, best of the capacities and abilities come to this small village of Mudanhalli, see what you do for the world, get inspired and participate in developing the world together. That was his original idea. Again, those who were not there yesterday or day before, the main thought was he came one day from Bangalore. And it was just like just a casual trip. He did not think much of it. But somebody brought him, Satyendra was there. I think Satyendra insisted. He and Deena, both of them came. They came to address the student of the university as a lecture. But they ended up listening to my lecture in my room. And then after an hour of all the talking, he was so inspired. He said, Swamiji, world has to know what you're doing over here. This is the right thing to do and this needs to be told to the world. You have to talk. You have to make it known to them. I said, I am not used to talking. I'm used to working. Our motto is, Baat kam kaam zyada. It means talk less and work more. And therefore, I do not go around telling this. He said, we will do it, Swamiji. We will get best of the corporates, best of the minds to this village and make sure that they all get to know how things should be done. And while you run corporates, you also have the social side of responsibility, and each one of us have to be made sensitized, made aware of our greater role in building better societies, especially at the bottom of the pyramid. That was his vision, and I was so happy that a lot of people visit us, we get a lot of appreciation, we get a lot of accolades. I listen to them, I understand, I appreciate their kind words and gestures, but not everybody converts it into action. See, it's just 8-9 months back, that is all it is. Less than a year actually. And he came, and just did not talk. He turned it into walk, in the sense he made it into an action. And what kind of action you see? Thousands of startups, hundreds of investors, and for the first time, as he said, 150 or so term sheets, 150 new startups which are getting mentored, which are getting created over here. What more can you talk about? A selfless thought coupled with selfless action can achieve anything. And Jay Garu is the living example. He might attribute it to my grace and guidance, but what is grace after all without somebody on the other end working for it? So this is how he has put it all together. And I'm really, truly appreciative of the whole team, including our university students and they who have volunteered. Everybody is a volunteer here. That's the beauty. They were telling ISF does not pay anybody anything. They all are working, whether they are CEOs or students. They are all working, from the chairman to the co-founders to everybody else. All are volunteers. And that is why this is growing so fast, because there is selfless in the hearts of people who are working for it. They're not coming here for some personal agenda. They're here for the greater good of the community. And that's how they sacrifice their individual good for the greater good of the society and the community. That is what Mahatma Gandhiji said. I'll close with that. He gave a talisman. It's called Gandhiji's talisman. And that mantra is, he says, whenever you are in doubt about any action, anything that you want to undertake, recall the face of the poorest and the weakest person that you have ever seen. Then ask yourself, whatever you are planning to do, contemplating to do, is it going to restore some kind of control over his destiny for that poor and the weak? Is it going to make that poor and the weak person's life any better? If yes, then go ahead. All your doubts will disappear, he says. If you just put this talisman, put this test, litmus test before every of your decisions. So when you now go back and you build your companies, corporates, you lead the society and industry, please ask yourself, whatever decisions you contemplate upon, is it going to make the life of the poorest and the weakest person you have ever seen any better? If the answer is yes, just go ahead and do it despite whatever be the odds, and you will succeed at the end. But if the answer is no, that it's not going to improve the life of the last and the least, the weakest and the poorest, then think twice whether you really need to do it, or can you do something better with your lives before it melts away in front of your eyes. So that is the idea of building better societies. Once again, I congratulate each and every one of you for having participated, shared your inspiration and ideas, and I'm sure in times to come, this year maybe 150, next year it may be 500 term sheets, you never know. But that is how it should grow. And what do you call such a company which grows 10x every year? What do you call a company like this? It's not unicorn, it is decacorn, he says. So that is how ISF is growing, is because of the selfless work of all of you. I truly appreciate you, and I look forward to engaging with each one of you, even as a social service organization. Don't just turn away and go back thinking my agenda of ISF is done. I got the investment, I didn't get the investment, whatever. No, look at what else you could do to build the society. This is the birthplace of Mokshagunnam Vishveshwaraya, who gave us the KRS Dam. That water is actually irrigating most of the southern side of Karnataka, and because of that there is prosperity. And that idea was a crowdfunding idea. If you do not know, the Wudayar, the king who was there, he did not have enough finances to build the dam. But Vishveshwaraya's idea that we have to build something for the sake of irrigating this area, which was otherwise becoming economically very poor, they went to the public. They went to the people and said, what can you give? Because treasuries are empty. They had to pay huge taxes to the British just to keep their kingdom together. So they did not have funds to build a dam, KRS dam, or build a canal system. It's Mokshagunnam Vishveshwaraya and the king together who went village to village, asking people for their support, and people donated. People donated implements, people donated iron, people donated money, gold, all kinds of. It was the first, I think, example of crowdsourcing or crowdfunding, which is now the in thing. And that was to the credit of Mr. Vishveshwaraya, who was patronized, of course, by the king. But today, you look at the prosperity that it has brought, especially to down south, Mandya, Mysore, all these regions. It's only because the river was flowing. River has been flowing there for thousands of years, but nobody channelized the energy, the resources of the river for the betterment of the people. If every time you sold or whatever, every TMC of water that you released, you charge people for it, you wouldn't have been a prosperous society today. Our farmers wouldn't have survived. Because Mr. Vishveshwaraya thought it is to be done for the greater good of all. Because the king said, I am ready, even if I am king, I am ready to stretch my hands in front of my own people for the sake of their good, better future. He stretched his hands out. He did not think, I'm a king, I shouldn't do it. And that is how people were inspired, that when king himself is coming and seeking support, we must support. And they all came together. That is the inspiration of this land. So this is a startup. KRS Dam is a startup which is now created so much of wealth for the society. And that is the kind of startup that you should think of. That is the innovation at the bottom of the pyramid. That is what is going to change the societies for the better forever. That kind of change we must affect through our intelligence, resources, abilities. Please think along these lines. Take back with you a lot of inspiration from here and keep chewing over it. And I'm sure insights will come. And that insight will be leading you to innovation. And that innovation is going to finally come back to the society as solutions. This is the method. I look forward to meeting all of you again next year, and many more of you. Each one of you should bring 3 more of your friends and colleagues. And that's how it should keep growing. So wish you all the very best. Again, thanks to Bosaraju Garu for coming and gracing this occasion. Of course, Jay Garu and Deena, who initially seeded the idea, and now it has grown with everyone, Mr. Gulati, and the latest additions like Rajamohan Garu and many more. To all of you, my very best wishes and blessings. May you all achieve what you have set out to achieve. May that lead to greater good of all. With these words of blessings, I conclude.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to MyStartupTV.
Hi, this is Sandhya Kode, and I'm really happy to be here at ISF 2023. Here in Sri Satyasai Grama, Mudanahalli. It's so inspiring to see thousands of people teaming around, attending panel sessions, attending to the keynotes, seeing the exhibition, seeing the pitches yesterday. It was awesome. And I wish all of the participants the very, very best and hope they find the match between who they're looking for in terms of funding or mentorship or what have you. And wish a lot of success and hope there are a lot of takeaways from the panels and the experience sharing from the experienced people. And my participation in Women in Business panel was great. Jay pushed me in the last minute, and I was very happy to be there, to be able to listen to and share my experience. And really, all the opportunity is there for the women today, especially in India, to be the best they possibly can, because technology has made it so much more easier to work out of home, to be able to balance, to work part-time, to do work full-time, to do so many different things. And I think it's a great time forward for women and the participants, all of them in India. Thank you.
Stay informed about the startup ecosystem. Subscribe to MyStartupTV.
Hi, my name is Seshadri Mangala, and I can say I'm the proud volunteer of the Indian Startup Festival, and also been proud to be co-founder along with my mentor, Sri J. Chaudhary, whom I knew in my childhood days. I hope now I'm sharing and working with him. So I think you all heard the intention of what we are doing. I think we rather talking, I think we want to do some actions, and we had something like, we had almost more than 140 term sheets. This is the second edition. We are a 9-month baby. As you also mentioned, we are also a startup, not paid employees, but we had pro bono volunteers across all of them who are burning their midnight oil to make what you see today. And it's continuing. This is not even a trailer. I always say that. And we are doing a lot of sessions, even international wise, but I always believe the change has to come from us. So I'm trying to do my bit, and I hope every one of us can try to do bit. So when we say startup, it's also about employability, it's about skills. So all that is coming, the byproducts, the ingredients of all our mission and vision. So I request everyone to be part of it. And of course, you have my coordinates. I'm more than happy. And thanks to MyStartupTV for all. I know I heard a lot about you. And definitely we'll work together to make it a better India. Thank you.
Stay informed about the startup ecosystem. Subscribe to MyStartupTV.
Welcome to My Startup TV. I'm MajorSunilShetty. We are the day 2 of India Startup Festival 2023. I have with me Soumya Mukherjee, who's the Office of the Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India. Well, that's a big name. If you could start with explaining what it is all about.
Sure. Thank you. So what I'll do is I'll just take a minute before I introduce the office, the background of why this Office of Principal Scientific Advisor and why all of this, and why I'm here also. That also will explain, the reason. So, the Office of the Principal Scientific Advisor dates back to 1999, with APJ Abdul Kalam being the first scientific advisor of the country before he went on to become the president of the country. And as we know, India has been evolving since the early 2000s to power economy, right? World power. Be it nuclear or renewable energy, be it any sector, India is evolving as a entire innovation ecosystem in the world. So we are at the cusp of how our startups ecosystem can be leveraged for the benefit of social, impact, if you call it social investments, all of that can be driven. So Office of the Principal Scientific Advisor was set up primarily to do all pragmatic advice to the Prime Minister in terms of science and technology. Now we are in the leadership of Professor Ajay Sood. Professor Ajay Sood comes from the background of IISc. He is a semiconductor and nanotechnology expert. He is also a Royal Fellow of Physics member and has a successful experiments on Raman resonance effects on pacemaker systems of heart. Then also he is he has a number of patents from UK, US, and then he also chairs the G20 Chief Science Advisors Roundtable, which is global leaders in science and technology, and his office represents multiple scientists and technologies from Indian Academy of Sciences, Indian National Innovation Foundation, Indian Science Foundation, DRDO's, AIMS, Mr. V.K. Saraswat. All of them are a part of the Prime Minister's Science, Technology, Innovation Advisory Council. And the role of the PMSTAC, which is the Innovation Advisory Council, is to drive the 9 national missions. So starting with the IEML, NLP, which is National Language Portal Translation, quantum, biodiversity for human health, bioscience, all of that, right? So, for example, if you see the space policy that has come recently, this is also, a backbone of the, this office of Principal Scientific Advisor, and increasingly all the quantum mission, even if you talk about it, is because of this office that has come up, and there are a lot more that can be told about the office. I am representing the Strategy Alliances Division, where we do industry academy engagement process.
So that brings me to a very important question with academics, right? So is there the policy we are coming out where the scientific mindset, should start at a very early age, isn't it? So is your organization working somewhere towards that as a policy?
Sure, of course. See, we have recently come out with a deep tech startup policy. I think if you look at the macro level of any policy that has been successful in its implementation, the major element is that it has to be done in consultation and concurrence with the industry, and in a mode which is adaptable to the economy that the country is going through or will be perceiving. Right, we heard from Mr. Ramcharan also yesterday, who is a mentor and a milestone in his own career with helping a lot of companies and success stories all across for entrepreneurs. So early stage, if we talk about, there is lot of it is debatable, and there is a lot of mixed approaches are there. But I think any entrepreneur or any startup, what is important is that he need to also visualize the failure as far as success. You cannot have anything overnight, right? Today you come across a dream, and tomorrow it's not a startup. It's not any a financial thing or any implication that you have. You just deliver it. It is your dream. You have to pursue like a dream. It's like your baby. So you have to mature it, and you have to have a gestation period for it, and then you have to deliver it. So you need to just think about it, right? Whether it is solving any real life problems or not. Identify the real life problems, and I think there are plenty of institutions and startups, IITs and IISs, all of the institutions, and they have their own R&D setups also, incubators, who are willing to help you in the early stage. So I think overall, this way, I think we are the overarching council. Definitely, we have a lot of things to think about, and we are helping the early stage startups. Also, about 150 startups out of 500 we have set up are early stage, actually. And at some point of time they were just nowhere. They were they were probably working in tandem with the MSMEs of the country, and there is a huge gap that is existing between the startups and MSMEs, because no utilization of MSMEs industry is happening, because MSMEs are at the forefront, and they have all the expertise, but they cannot fund because they have their own set of challenges, right? They need power backups. They need a lot of things which are still detrimental in terms of the policy regulations that needs to be flexible. So I think early stage can always be done, and there are multiple ways that are startup organizations. So Office of Principal Scientific Advisor also launched platform. I would not call it a portal. It's just called Manthan. It was launched on 15th August 2022, and which is there to address the gaps that are existing, in the and the bottlenecks in the physical world. To remove all these bottlenecks we are in a VUCA world, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity, all of that. And we need to have knowledge sharing practices, more of information dissemination knowledge on the platform. So we tried to build the platform, and we have this platform with us now, which was launched 15th August, so that industry, the demand side people, which are the industry, PSUs, the state governments or the central governments, the philanthropic organizations, high net worth individuals, they can all articulate their problem statements or their R&D issues, or CSR problem statements, anything that they want to do it collaboratively, and they have funds for that. So the idea is to have the funding reach the right people, instead of funding some proposals which are at random, may have relevance 10 years back or 5 years back, and have not researched, what we call is a translational research, but it has its own course of time. So Manthan gives that builds that gap, fulfills that gap of bridging the industry to the 1 lakh plus startups ecosystem, and the 5,000 plus topmost credible institutions, academic institutions, and the MSMEs, if we talk about NGOs and all of that, who are the implementers. And there are science technology clusters also in different cities, who are they are at the heart and soul of the cities, addressing on focused thematic areas, and working with 30-40 research institutions in a mode of with the state governments, the civil societies, the labs, philanthropy organizations, all of them, they are working it. So they have the bandwidth, and they can also take up implementation projects if there is any challenge in funding gaps of CSR. So they can also fulfill that gap for any social enterprise or any startup to take those projects forward in the tribal areas and rural areas. We have multiple examples of projects that we have done so far, and it's an open invitation to all the startups and who have been a part and parcel and have been rewarded or have participated in some way in India Startup Festival to leverage this platform freely, because there is no financial implications, and it's a free, democratic and decentralized platform.
So as a support, what kind of support do you provide to startups?
So as I said, we do not fund any projects directly, or neither do we accept funds, because we are the government of India, and this platform is just a co-funded platform for the social benefit, for the social cause. So if I talk about how do we help, I think it is primarily for the industry, the problem statement that the industry is facing, why it is facing, and how it can be solved. There are different ways that it could be solved.
So you help connect the industry.
I help connect industry to the startups, the grassroots innovators, and not only connect, but also the startups can showcase their proposals, their innovations on the platform freely. So that's on the Manthan platform. Yes. So the industry can, or the government can come in, and they can handpick proposals. So it's this platform is a combination of an Amazon or LinkedIn, a Facebook, research combined together,
where they could provide a service. So finally, what's your thought about the event?
So this is a wonderful platform. I think I've rarely seen these kind of events, because most of the events that we come across are either out of multiple dignitaries from the ministries or the central government's thing. Very few events that have been is like which has focused discussions and live pitches and commitments from the real commitments from the investors and angel investors, equity funders. All of them have been here, and there are international players and foundations also who are taking deep interest in the startups ecosystem of the country. And it is, I think, a brilliant platform. It should go its way for social impact, incubation, invention. Necessity is the mother of invention. And I think if the proper research and with proper data analytics, if startup is progressing, then I think the sky is the limit.
Could you say something about MyStartupTV? We are a dedicated media house for startups exclusively.
Of course, I think you're doing a fabulous job. I have not come across any platform so far although we have tied up with our science and communication partners as Netflix and Amazon Prime and the Hotstars, but I have not come across. I would like to see you soon on my television screen on my living room, and kudos to you for doing this for the startups.
Manthan, initiated by the Office of PSA, is set to transform India's tech-driven social innovations. This platform enhances collaboration with innovators, promotes R&D in emerging technologies, and underscores the societal benefits of these science-based solutions.
The Office of Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India brings to you India's first multi-stakeholder platform to reach the unreached. Manthan aims to facilitate industry-academia collaborations for CSR and philanthropic funding. The platform is built on key pillars of innovation opportunity exchange, virtual exhibitions and events. Industries can find academic or startup partners. Government research problems can also be found on the platform. Manthan is also aligned with the UN Sustainable Development Goals and emerging technologies. The science and technology clusters under the Office of Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India create strong linkages between multiple academic institutions and industry on focused thematic areas. The platform has illustrious co-funding partners and is supported by leading industries, associations and institutes. Please register on manthan.gov.in today if you would like to source your implementation or R&D and innovation partners.
Stay informed about the startup ecosystem. Subscribe to MyStartupTV.
Welcome to ITTV Global Media, the voice of software engineers, and today we have got a giant, and since yesterday I'm listening to him, and believe me, he's got really nice wisdom and clear thought to give it to you too. So sir, first of all, let me ask you your name and your designation.
I'm Sri Atluri. I'm from New York. I am an executive of one of the Wall Street firms.
Oh, that's really awesome. And regarding your visit to ISF 2023, any specific reason, or have you ever met somebody which clicked your business?
Actually, more than startups, I'm here just to support the festival. I see a lot of talent and a lot of positive energy. I just want to be able to support the festival, and I'm connected with ISF.
So you connected with ISF, and I think with the startups running right now in India and the development of rural areas, and I think today in the keynote speech I could see that many of the people are speaking about rural. Do you really think we'll be able to focus on rural and get startups from there?
Oh, absolutely. If you see some of the stalls here, the innovation and the way they're actually thinking is amazing, and also the startups that are coming from the rural India are going to take its leaps and bounds and be able to get to where they have to. I'm positive. Thank you.
You're really positive about it. And I think we're definitely positive too. But sir, I think one question I have, which was that one business or one startup which you really liked today?
Some of the social entrepreneurship, particularly giving back to the community, and also the diversity-focused, accessibility-related software that is built is amazing. It is not only to solve the problem, but it helps some of the sectors of the people that are ignored. And that is what I think is very, very useful and important.
That's great. Apart from all the wolf of the Wall Street, we have literally got one with a very big and kind heart. Thank you for giving your time, sir. It was nice talking to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Stay informed about the startup ecosystem. Subscribe to MyStartupTV.
So the event is amazing. Actually, the kind of folks who came in, the startups, and the mentors that came in across the world, and the way the positive energy that's created here is amazing. And in fact, there are startups. I heard there are 150 term sheets were given. That itself is showing the level of depth and the breadth of this organization and the way ISF is moving. Congratulations, ISF, and thank you very much.
Stay informed about the startup ecosystem. Subscribe to My Startup TV.
My name is Tarun Gulati. I'm the chairman, president, and CEO for Square Watermelon in the UK, but I also happen to be the co-founder and co-chair for the India Startup Festival. I live in London, but I've been a banker all my life. I've been chairman of a bank. I've been CEO for several entities, including UTI, the largest asset management company globally, and sat on some 48 boards. What brings me here is obviously my involvement with the Startup Festival. I've never seen anything like this. I've, as I said, lived all over the world. This is unique. This is not about one day running a startup or a 2-day festival. It's a continuous process around the year. The idea is some startups may need money, some startups need mentorship, some startups need the next stage. How do they go about doing that? So that is the whole idea, and I'm trying to bring my experience, global experience, and try and help startups and scale-ups to go to the next road of their journey and make them all very successful with indeed a societal angle. I do believe that one must give back, so I run several not-for-profit entities, including an award that is very global called the 21st Century Icon Awards, where winners and finalists have come from 44 countries, and media is, with CNBC and others, have shown it in 80+ countries. So you can start small, but your vision has to be big, and if everybody thinks like that, they'll at least reach somewhere. So that's the message I would like to give today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. My pleasure.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to My Startup TV.
Sadhguru Swamiji Pranam, Honorable Minister, Mr. Chaudhary, and other distinguished guests on the dais, brothers and sisters and other distinguished guests off the dais. I can tell you the talk of heaven on this earth. I've traveled all over the world, lived in 8 odd countries, traveled maybe to 70, 80 countries. Moment you enter those gates, heaven is on this earth here. Hospitality, unparalleled, non-pareil. Never seen it. You go to the top hotels, Niketan and Mohan, the volunteers who picked me up at 1 a.m. in the night, have been there all along. And they are not, I can only name 2 individuals. Everybody I met, I think, Sadhguru, this is tremendous. It's hospitality, not in the mind, it's from the heart. That makes all the difference. Thank you, Mr. Chaudhary, for giving me the opportunity to be part as a co-founder, chairman of this entity. You saw the serene faces of these young people. You would realize there's peace, there's tranquility, and there's satisfaction. That's what the startups are looking for. They're looking for an ecosystem that actually nurtures them, caters for all their needs, mentors them. It's not all about money, because money can come, but you should know how to deploy it, how to make profit from it. Build value, not valuations. As Sadhguru said yesterday, you're looking at bottom of the pyramid. There are those that have it all, but there are those have-nots. The idea of the India Startup Festival is to actually uplift those that are at the bottom of the pyramid. Maslow's hierarchy of needs talks right at the bottom, there are these necessary things that we need. Some people don't have theirs, where some of them, well, they haven't achieved self-actualization, but they have everything they need. The idea is if you come here each year, that self-actualization will be possible thanks to the fantastic entity here. I have never come here before, but I've made a self-promise to myself and everybody I've met. I intend to come here every quarter and be part of this institution, thanks to Mr. Chaudhary. The other colleagues who are not on the stage with me, I represent all of them who are part of the core team here. I speak for all of them for encouraging me to be part of this. Without their support and encouragement, I wouldn't have been able to be. So thank you very much for everybody here.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to MyStartupTV.
Welcome to My Startup TV. I'm MajorSunilShetty. We are at the India Startup Festival 2023. Today is day 2, and we are going to start the proceeding with Tarun Singhal, who is the director at Soprasteria. He's also on the board of British Business Group. Also, he's part of the Living Bridge concept, which Prime Minister Modi spoke about, which is connecting India to the global and global to India. So welcome to the show, Tarun.
Thank you, Major. Thank you so much. Delighted to be part of this conversation with you.
Perfect. So, let's start by the whole concept of Living Bridge, which you spoke about, before we started. For the benefit of people out there, who are also like you, there are many of them out there who are connecting India to the world and the world to India. So, yeah.
So when Prime Minister Modi was addressing the massive gathering at the Wembley Stadium in the UK, he coined the term Living Bridge. And it's very simple how every one of us in India can do more with global and vice versa. And that's where it's a bridge while we are able to connect with each other, which also links up with the theme of this ISF 2023, which is connect, collaborate and celebrate. So together we can do more, but individually we can't do more.
Correct.
So namaskar and Sai Ram, and I'm happy to be conversing with you.
You're also moderating a roundtable today. Do you want to talk about that in your, as a Living Bridge concept and that whole concept of connecting the world and to India?
It's very simple. I was having my conversation with Swamiji yesterday, and we were discussing about the roundtable because he is personally very keen on this diplomatic roundtable, which I have the honor with his blessings to chair and moderate today along with Seshadri ji. Now, it's all about how as India we can be able to collaborate with the global world. Now let me give you one very small example of how at Soprasteria we are doing it, which I was discussing with Swamiji yesterday. We have presence across 30 countries, north of 55,000 people globally. And when it comes to community, it came out that we are working on one country and few schools in India, whether it is to do with healthcare, whether it is to do with education, and that's the concept we follow. So in simple words, when we were discussing about this, Swamiji said that, why don't you come across and start something like Force 15? And what he meant by Force 15 was, we give at the round table to all the diplomats, whether they're from Finland, they're from UK, they're from Australia, they're from US or United Kingdom or France, where we are actually working very closely as two countries together. One of the concepts which came out from Swamiji on Force 15 was that we give a target of 2 companies per country. So even if 7 to 8 countries subscribe to this concept, together 15 powerful companies, we come and work not on the visibility, because everybody is doing something on visibility. We want to create an impact. Like you saw here, Satya Sai Memorial Hospital. It's an impact. It's affecting so many people's lives, providing free healthcare for many. So I would be revolving around that and try to put that as an agenda as part of the FTAs being signed and take it forward from there.
Coming to your personal mission, what's your mission?
My personal mission is very simple: connect, collaborate, and celebrate. I would give a little bit more value to celebrate, because if you're celebrating and having fun, then you can do anything. Sky is the limit. And that is what is most important. Swamiji mentioned yesterday about $5 trillion economy. वो तो हो ही जाएगा.
Correct.
That is not a problem. The problem is how we can do something better and that mitigation of that. So I want to align my personal goals with the wider society goals. And that is where I am working towards, and that's the reason which brought me here in the ashram today.
So far, we are on the day 2 of the event. What's your take from day 1? What are your thoughts?
I think day 1 was phenomenal. We all saw and witnessed 125 term sheets being signed. It is a world record. People would say startup festivals or startup conferences would be something in small scale, one small boardroom, small discussions, something like this where you have more than 10,000 people as delegates attending, more than 200 CXOs here, more than almost 100 venture capitalists here. Where else will you find this? Exhibitions area, people are exhibiting beautiful products in the range of education. We saw Sai Sure, which is the food and nutrition concept of Satya Sai institution. It's all amazing, and I think highlight for me yesterday were, I would say, 2 highlights. One was fireside chat with Swamiji, where he mentioned very clearly how the CXOs and organizations can do more and better. And the other was the symphony, Sai Symphony Orchestra.
Good afternoon. This is the most powerful panel of India Startup Festival. And in fact, a lot of discussions yesterday and today morning also. The gender issue, a lot of people were raising why many women leaders are not actually taking their responsibilities and driving new companies. They are all limited to their home responsibilities, children responsibilities. I think time has come for all of you to become not just leaders in India but global leaders. You have to pave the path for the rest of the women folks, because in India I see if you go to any engineering college, 80% of the students, they are all girl students. Recently I went to one orphan school near Vijayawada. There also 90% are all girl students. So what are they doing? 90% in the schools and colleges, but they are not getting into the industry, they are not getting into leadership, they are not getting into the senior positions in the corporate industry. So there is something lacking. Maybe I will request Radha also to come, because Radha, come, you are the right person, the model woman entrepreneur doing extremely well in Silicon Valley. Please come, Radha. So all of you are role models for women entrepreneurship. You tell us, instead of blaming us that we are not giving the opportunity to you, you tell us why women leadership are not really taking the ownership and responsibilities to go higher up and lead companies. Come, Radha, please come. So we are expecting a white paper recommendations from this round table, so that this we have to implement by the time we go to the next conference. You have to work hard, make sure that yes, there was an issue in ISF 23, but we were able to resolve, and these are the recommendations which given by ISF 23 roundtable, and this is how we are able to get the solutions. I am looking forward to the chairman of the whoever is the chairman of this roundtable have to give a presentation in ISF 24 that we were able to solve these problems, and that's when we all feel that yes, somebody is working to see that this problem is getting solved instead of blaming all of us. Thank you.
Check, check, check. Am I audible? Yes. Am I audible? Well, thank you, Jay Garu, for encouraging us and setting the stage. So, good afternoon, welcome. And of course, we see very less, but I guess all of you are here with an intent to listen to us, so we'll try to get into the crux of the things that Jay Garu mentioned, and all of us here we believe in. So on the stage, can begin to introduce each one of you, but I'm pretty sure that you're here for a very good reason, which is you're all women in business with substance, have gone through many challenges and come to this point of life where you're joining hands on this beautiful stage today to talk about some of the challenges, some of the recommendations, and as Jay Garu said, to set some standards for our next sessions, as well as a lot of the other listeners who are listening to us. So with that, I'll get started. So I guess, some of the things that we have discussed individually or in groups that we do very well when we are in a very set ecosystem. If everything is provided, we do well. But suddenly, when we come out of that ecosystem, we tend to lose the grip or the motivation to go forward. So why, or what are those one or two things that we fail to understand while we are in that ecosystem that puts us in the back seat to deal with the world outside? And an example is that beautiful education system that we have here for women or for girl education. We prepare them to take challenges, have their own mind, but when they come out to start out their careers, that's when we see there's a bit of drop from let's say from 100 girls child to then you'll see 50% of them. So what are the one or two things that we fail to do and which we can address coming from your recommendations and your experience? So I have a set of mics here. So Radha, I see she has raised her hand. So let's hear from Radha. Okay, I think now, yeah. Firstly, thank you for the opportunity. I know I wasn't actually part of the panel, but I kind of barged in. I think I could say that of India, girls are expected to do well in school, have their mind, but I think there is a lot of I would say in their upbringing and even societal expectations, conformity. So when you want to be a leader, you can't be conforming to things. And your ability to navigate uncertainty, that has to be cultivated. If you're just going to follow rules, then I don't think you're going to be able to navigate uncertainty or complexity, which are all like essential skills, to be a business leader. So I think that's the first thing. You have to change the expectations at home and outside, and you should not be you should be totally okay with taking a stand that is not expected or contrarian, and be okay with it. I think a lot of times they are expected to please everyone, and that's not really going to work. So it's not like, they don't have a mind of their own, but it's just that they don't choose to use their mind of their own because the consequences, are not really, helpful. So that's kind of my perspective.
I completely agree with what Radha said. One is, yes, uncertainty, you should be ready for it. And one of the other things, I think, as women, we always feel that we have to be good at everything. No, we don't have to be. We are multitasking. I know we can multitask, but then you cannot make everybody happy at every time. But it's a conscious call you got to take, whether at this point in time my work needs me, or at this point in time my family needs me, or my friends needs me. What it is a conscious call that you have to take. You cannot be perfect in everything, except that fact that you cannot be perfect. It's about how you maneuver through it and take it forward. And secondly is, don't be afraid of anything. Right? If you have that fear, I think first and foremost, women don't take that step forward because they're scared they will fail. And what happens if you fail? Nothing happens. You fail. That's all. Because once you fail, only you understand the happiness of success. So that's exactly what it is. It's okay to fail. Fail first, fail fast, then that's when you will succeed soon. It's okay to fail. Don't look for perfection. You cannot make everybody happy. That's what I feel.
Thank you, Rashmi. Sandhya, I think you have wanted to add a few things.
Hello. Can you hear me? Yeah. I think one of the things when we're in the professional world is just to be a professional. To set aside the hat that, are you a woman? Are you a man, whatever, and that's been my way all the way. And even when I had started the startup 30 years ago in STP, that was the way it was. And having just come back from the US and having got a contract to work and needing to deliver on it, I knew I had to work late. So I'd send off my driver in the evening and then I'd drive back home late. So my father-in-law complained. He said, no, you can't come back, drive yourself so late. So the compromise was get 2 drivers. They worked in shifts. But I wasn't giving up on working late. And there were times that I needed to do that, and I'm really grateful for the way the family supported me. It's somewhat about ourselves setting the expectations of this is what work means to me, and this is what I need to do, and how can the ecosystem help to make it all happen.
Thank you so much. So listening from 3 of you, I could pick up that there's a lot which is dependent on the woman herself. So totally agree, and I would say on behalf of everyone here that that first fire in the belly is to be with the women, and all of you who have listened to them would definitely agree, because you could go to some extent with the support, but after that it's all your journey. That said, I'd like to move to a next set of questions which are basically about the pitfalls and the myths about women-led endeavors. So for example, how easy or how difficult it is to go and pitch something or lead something in a very male-dominated industry. Again, I totally see the point that you have to be a professional first, but that's one the starting point. But beyond that, there are always these myths that after a certain age, certain stage of life, you cannot take some roles, or you should not. So some pitfalls and myths that are out there which we have to demystify today, because all of you have gone beyond those and completely taken a new shape. So definitely would like to hear from some of you on what could be those challenges, pitfalls that you have seen in your career so far, which were a little bit different than a usual industry that a woman should usually faces. So Rashida.
Yeah, hi. I think I'll just share a little bit of my story of how I began. So I'm basically a company secretary by profession. I'm a lawyer and born, brought up in Mumbai, got married in Hyderabad. So when I came down to Hyderabad after my marriage, I was having a successful career with corporates in Mumbai, but when I came down to Hyderabad, somehow when I went for an interview, I didn't quite like the atmosphere, and I said that probably that's not the right kind of atmosphere to be in. So I thought, okay, let me just get into practice as a company secretary. And the biggest challenge, there were 3 challenges which I faced. One was, I didn't know anybody in Hyderabad. It was absolutely a new city for me. My family, in the sense my in-laws, my husband, of course, did not have much of networking. There was no, because he was also working, so there was no kind of networking or in the business area. Second was that I came from a minority community, so that was a big challenge for me. And third, it came in as from the point of view that as a woman, right? So all the 3 were against me, and all of them, especially my professional peers, when I met them and I said, look, I want to set up practice. Can you help me, at least introduce me to some corporates where I can do practice? And they all discouraged, saying you can't, it's best you go and work in a company, it'll be better. So that sort of, I took that as a challenge and I said, no, I'm going to change this. So there was no woman company secretary in practice. In fact, there was nobody in practice. There were just 2 people who were in practice then. And nobody knew what a company secretary was as such, and what kind of services we could provide. So from there, I began my journey slowly and steadily, facing all odds. It was extremely difficult. First 2.5 years, 3 years were extremely, extremely difficult. A lot of discouragement, a lot of negativity. But then, if you have decided that, okay, you want to do it, I think you can do it. It just needs that guts. You have to have that, and a never give up attitude and a belief in yourself that you can do it. So I think this is what I would say. Thank you.
Thank you, Rashida. I'd like to hear from Pooja.
Can you hear me? No. Well, I would start off by saying, if at least in the limited exposure, global exposure that I have, if a man has to prove 100%, I've always seen female founders or women needs to prove 150%. And coming from the Gulf region, where it is a male-dominated society, culturally, if a man is considered the head of the family in India, in the Gulf, into 100x. Yeah, but so you should always have the heart for people to discourage you in all ways. So when I was my entrepreneur the first time, I remember my investor asking very weird questions as to what about if you get married, what about this, what about that. But by the end of the day, he got an exit even before my marriage, or I'm not even married. So it was like, he was basing something on a personal event in my life, but it would not necessarily be that. And then also, so even today, I have 3 male partners. One is a local UAE Emirati, one is a Jordanian national, one is a Lebanese national. So it's a challenge by itself to navigate through it. It's a challenge by itself to have a complete board and advisory board of all men. And then sometimes you need to put your foot down and say, no, this is what I'm trying to say. And there are times when I've taken a few leadership calls, they've called it emotional, but then whereas when the other counterpart takes it, it's logical, right? But then I always have the reasoning as to why do you find it emotional when I've written an email, I've done all of the ta-da-da steps, which ideally would have been accepted. But it's just that core belief of believing in yourself. If 99 people are not going to believe in you, there's going to be that one person who's going to believe in you. But then you, of course, cannot wait for all of you to believe, but it's about you know that you can make it happen and you work towards it. And that's what leads to success. So.
Well said. And I heard that story before, and I was so intrigued that, you know, we have a very limited view about the myths or some of the images of our society within our window, and we rarely get to see the perspectives from a different country, different culture, different regions. And just to know or be aware of those will help us to build our confidence, because we think that, you know, what we have is not good enough. But in some cases, all the women should know this, that, you know, whatever they have today is good enough for them to take that first step. Because someone else, somewhere in other, you know, regions probably are not having even that minimal thing that you need to go forward. So this was the, you know, very insightful, you know, personality that I came to know when I spoke to you. So thank you for sharing that. So I'd like to ask the same to Manisha, because one of the interesting point is she started after a good career break, but then she's now, you know, the president for HYSIA in Hyderabad, and has a very, you know, great working, you know, career. So that myth as well, that, you know, there can be a good work-life balance. Is it a myth or a reality? Something that, if you could share some of your views.
I think work-life balance is unnecessarily overhyped, is my view. Yeah, we need to manage both, but it's just about prioritizing and not beating yourself up in case you are little less in one of the. The way I put it is that that is superwoman syndrome which we have. The women have this superwoman syndrome where they want to be the best and the perfect in everything they do. I would like to say that be the best and the perfect in the things which are important for what you want to achieve in life, and the other things you do so that they're managed well. That's the myth of work-life balance that I have come across. I remember hearing similar thoughts from Radha once, where Radha also mentioned about the work-life balance, saying whatever you are doing on the priority, decide on the priority and do that well. So.
Well, thank you. Couldn't agree more.
And I heard from her about having 2 drivers and maid. So take support, have support system. You don't have to be the superwoman driving and doing everything. Take as much as, and I'm glad that your father-in-law told you that.
I completely agree with you. It's all about not just prioritizing, but becoming well at organizing yourself, organizing the system around you, and the help is there. I don't think that there are too many barriers. I was in Middle East as well, managing director for 100 countries, and I raised a son who's turned out to be a balanced individual, and yes, it's all possible, and absolutely, you know, you should know when to go home and do what you need to do and work around it and make sure that, you know, your whole I wouldn't use the word balance, but you're prioritizing things at the right time for what is required. So from that perspective, it never affected me. I would say no. You know, having a career of 25 years and no major issues there, and especially in the Middle East, I completely agree. It's interesting, it resonates with me so much when you said professional first, because I've worked with a whole range of nationalities and 100 countries, and when you're the professional first, whether you're male or female doesn't come into the equation at all. It really doesn't. And you bring value to the table, and that is appreciated. That's what matters. So just wanted to share that.
Thank you. So on that note, right, I'd like to actually pivot to the future, because all of us have different backgrounds or education, qualifications, experiences that have, and all of us don't do the same thing. So diversity is good just on this table or on this dais. But to, put that into the next generations in the educational systems, since you have good insight about how we can do so that we have quality. It's not just about the quantity, because most of the statistics say that the girls will get gold medals and so forth, but they're not turning into leadership roles 10-20 years later. So somewhere there is I won't say a gap, but there's a reason which I believe that we can actually fix it when they are getting into their educational system. So what differently do you think, or do you suggest? Because Jay Garu said we also have to suggest, and this is one of the places where we can do something. So we have lots of other consortiums that are out there which are going to be looking at the curriculums for, let's say, a domain. But I think this is a very important domain, because just from a India population, 50% are women and many are millennials or very young population. So what would you recommend after seeing the experience that you have that can groom the next women leaders?
I think I will just talk about Sadhguru's philosophy and how it's worked here. First thing he teaches very well is to bring out the best in each individual. So there's no stereotyping, I want you to become a doctor and an engineer or whatever. He really focuses on understanding at the teacher level what the skills of that particular student is. The second thing he does is builds a lot of confidence in them, to the extent where if you speak to our students, our undergraduates and postgraduates, they have a total clarity of purpose. So they're not swayed by others, by the community. They know where they want to go. And I've been in part of many of these functions where their clarity of purpose is tested, and they know where they want to go. So I think that instilling that in the generation of girls coming up is very important. Once they have clarity of purpose, they have the confidence. Confidence is about exposure as well. So they get a lot of exposure to all kinds of different backgrounds of people, situations and everything. And the third thing that is again instilled at a very early age is stability of the mind. Again, that comes with clarity of purpose as well. So once you have that clarity of purpose, things don't shake you as much as they would normally. So those are the three, I would say, big success factors where our girls, if you look at the postgraduates, at the age of 21, 22, they can run a whole campus. They can do everything from cooking in the campus to, teaching, to, teaching them, Vedam or Sanskrit or whatever. Very confident. And that's because they've been raised that way. And, one of the messages is anybody with a daughter out there, give them those kind of exposures. Thank you.
Thank you. Well said. Your views?
Yeah. I would like to add one more to that. So I would request girls to have that self-confidence and self-respect for their own self, because during the school or college we see that girls being in the toppers list and they get through the jobs, and eventually after a period of time, definitely at the age of marriage and childbearing ages, they tend to give priority to the family and wanted to leave the career, right? So obviously there are a lot of ways of having inclusive spaces for work or giving work from home for a certain duration. But more than that, it should be from within that I want to do this, I want to have, I can take help and I can do bit more. Probably it will be for certain duration, but that self-motivation during that time, it's a very brief time, probably 5-6 years, but during that time it will be very helpful in a long run, right? So just leaving career in 5-6 years and again trying to cope up is a very difficult step. Instead of that, having take support, and also companies also equally support in these kind of scenarios. So I think being self-motivated and not losing interest of own self should be the priority at those prime age to be at the senior level eventually, instead of restarting the career from the beginning.
So that's it, right? The segue to that is the role of a mentor or the role of a guru. So unless you are X number of years in your experience, you don't get into leadership trainings. That's what I've experienced 80% of the time. And then it goes back to that individual to absorb because everything is given to all. It depends on that individual. So whatever I'm hearing right now it's a lot to do with that particular person and the self-motivation. But as an education system or as a corporate or in industry, society, I'm not even going to touch because that's a big, far away from us. But the sphere of influence that we have, what is that one thing that we, at least the women here, can do? And I want to go one by one because those will be some things that are coming back from your experiences and have worked. And I'm not talking about the person yourself. I'm talking about something which has happened outside of you, which has helped you. Because that could be a reason for somebody to say, yes, I can do that to support another person who's sitting next to me or in my family or in my society. So I'd like to hear from each of you. What is that one or two things that we can do here that will motivate that person?
Very good afternoon, everybody. And sorry I got a little late, but that's a great question. The one or two things that we can do to motivate the students or, as young children, I think most of us here agree with me that, when we went to school, our primary focus was only education. Until we came of an age where probably that's when they started saying that, okay, now you have to get married, you have to learn cooking, or you have to now start looking at things other than education. But it's little different for the men who continue to do their best in their professional life. But my view is, I think when the child is young, each of us should try to inculcate that holistic experience or influence on them where they understand their higher purpose. Like ma'am just mentioned that, they have to understand their purpose and then work around that. So if we can inculcate that sort of a purpose within the students or children at a younger age, they will understand that it's not only about education, only profession or only family. It is everything, right? It's an amalgamation of both. So we should be in a position to have that mindset where we can take ourselves forward in that direction.
So that's for the parents and the teachers, whoever are there, we have an option or a way to tell them that to have a purpose in the life.
Right.
Thank you. Radha?
I'm actually the exec sponsor for empowering women in my company. I was both in YouTube as well when I was working in YouTube. I think one of the main things is in a lot of powerful positions that really matter, it's mostly men. So I think more than just mentoring and coaching women, which has to happen, and I think we need to bring in more men so that they can be a better allies and they can actually support, so it should not be just a dialogue between women, because it has to be a dialogue between people who have the power to change things. And I just want to illustrate with an example. So, I have this meeting with my CEO, Stierko, and it was like a heated debate between a couple of execs, and I was trying to get my point in, and he was like, he stopped the conversation and he said like, hey, Radha is trying to say something. Let her say it, right? So I think it's about men in powerful positions. They just need to, understand what is their role, how they can be, better supporters, of women, and we can't just expect them to just learn it on their own. So I think there is a lot of coaching that we need to do. So one of the things I'm trying to do is just set up meetings with all the senior leadership team members. Like, hey, here is my agenda as an exec sponsor for the women's group, and this is what I'm expecting from you. And this should, actually help them be a better leaders. It's not like, they're just doing anyone any favor. I think just creating a more inclusive organization will make them a better leader. And once they get it, I think a lot of them will actually, it's just that they don't know how to go about it.
So another way to say is he for she. I guess we had heard this term sometime, but the he for she is something that we can take up as one of the recommendations to formalize it in spaces where we can, and look for folks who actually can do that better than us. So thank you, Radha. Rashmi?
Give them a few tangible things. Give them a few tangible things to do, so that they don't have to think about it.
Absolutely. Rashmi?
I think most of the points, I don't know, because you're sitting next to me, I'm concurring with every point that she's saying. But however, I think one of the things that I also feel is, why do we women need empowerment? We are already empowered. We don't need additional, right? So just treat us as equal, except yes, physically, here and there, yes, there are pluses and minuses, but mentally, technically, skillfully, we are all equal. Just go with that and go with the flow. But I think what also is a problem is, as women, we want everybody to accept us, right? It's okay. Some people will not accept us. It's fine. We cannot, again, I'll go back to the same thing. You cannot satisfy everybody. If somebody doesn't accept you, it's fine. Move on. One of the brilliant decision-making process, or one of the brilliant aids that we have, is we can make a choice. If you feel that atmosphere is not conducive, if that team or the people around you are not adding to your growth or progress, are not being a positive influence to you, it's okay. Just choose not to be there. Make a choice. You have an option. It's not the end of the world. That's what I feel.
So let me sum it up, Rashmi. I guess a very famous author, Carol Dweck, she writes about this on being mindful, and then one of the ways that she explains about the ranking system that we have from 1 to 5, and that means that there is 1 is like a fail, but in their terminology, it's more about not there yet, rather than always trying to get that, flying colors. So I guess what you're saying is, in our heads, we have this aspect of expectation from ourselves that we have to be having that 5 all the time. But I guess we can keep telling us that, we are not there yet, but we'll still keep trying.
Yeah, we are work in progress.
We are work in progress. Well said.
Why ask for equality? We are all equal. We don't have to ask for something that we already have.
Yeah. Thank you. Pooja?
It's so nice to hear wonderful thoughts from people. So for me, for the young leaders, I think, as Nelson Mandela once said, education is the most powerful tool that you can use to change the world. So I think education is the key for us to see a lot of women leaders, or women to, be on boards, be it anyone, right? So I think that is something I stand for. And today, what I am today is also to my alma mater of all the institutions that I've been in, and how they've shaped me to take the bold step to stand against the odds and to stand for who I believe in and for my purpose. So I think education is the key. So I would start with the younger leaders. We should, as Shri Sadhguru said even yesterday, we should just work towards the percentage of education going higher in women, and we all should be that supporting force for that. And by doing that, we are, winning.
So I guess what I'm hearing is we all have to go back to our colleges and spend some time with our next batches and give away, and maybe, partner with organizations which are already doing. And that's one of the ways where we can, give back, not just, spiritually, but also on paper. So something that you should all sign today, saying that you will go back with, an understanding that you will probably teach one student or maybe a bunch of students from your college. Yeah, each one teach one. I think we have there's a homework to do. So, Sandhya Garu.
Yeah, I'd just like to put a little bit of a different spin on the whole thing. I don't know why we think women in India are not doing their bit. I think they're doing great. Just look at this awesome panel sitting right here. Look at all the awesome presentations and people pitching right there. They're just doing just absolutely great. And when I think about when I went to college, I was one of 2 girls in the whole class across the universities. And I did happen to get the gold medal, and that didn't work against me, so Praveena, so there. And the point is that even in the US, there is a lot of things being said about girls not being able to take to STEM education and so on. Whereas when you look at India, STEM education is doing brilliantly. More than 50% in all the colleges are women, and they're doing great. So the only little gap, if there is one to be filled, is that you are doing great, just keep doing great, believe in yourself, empower yourself, and keep being persistent, and don't look at obstacles as obstacles, but as opportunities and problems to solve to keep moving forward. And that just changes the whole dynamic. And having worked 20 plus years in industry, and in the last 15 wearing kind of an academic hat with having a lab in IIIT where I was doing teacher training for teachers in engineering colleges, helping them to bridge the gap for students. This has been part of my yajna, so to speak, and I have found incredible change as the teachers and the heads of the department and women have empowered themselves. Those that used to not sit in the center table, who would sit outside, not speak their mind, I have seen them as I have encouraged them to, you have brilliant ideas, go ahead, speak up, just say it, what's going to happen. And from there to see that sea change, and seeing these professors now leading women in engineering sections, IEEE women sections, and getting best, professor awards and all that is just incredible. So I think that's one aspect. The other aspect is that children are natural managers. I remember my 5-year-old waiting for me to come back from work and said, "Amma, I have a chart to do. Can you help me with that?" This was many years ago, of course. And I said, "Okay, what do we need to do?" And she described the whole thing. And I said, "Okay, let's do it." She said, "Okay, here are the colors. Here's the chart paper. You draw so beautifully, Amma, start." I said, "Okay." And then she literally made me do the whole project. I said, "If I'm doing the whole thing, why don't you go to bed? It's late." Said, no, I'm going to sit here. And she was, quote unquote, managing me. And after I was all done, she drew the borders, wrote her name and class, and rolled it up, put a rubber band, put it on the side, and said, "Now you can go to bed, Amma." So, a lot of our education tends to put one size fits all to everybody, and that's the problem. So we need to fix our education system so that we allow the natural interests of people, whether they be boys or girls, to prevail and not bucket them into engineers, doctors, and one more other. And I think that I'm already seeing in this last 15 years, and I feel very grateful to be in that space right now and having mentored many people. That's what inspires me to keep going. And I think there's great opportunity for more people to just help in mentoring, sharing your knowledge, sharing some pitfalls, which will help someone else to just move out and be more of themselves. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So again, I'll go back to the homework that we have to do. So 2 things I heard. One is also talk about the things that are working well. The aspect of the STEM education in schools, specifically for the girls, and how they do it. We say we communicate a lot, but I don't think, we are communicating in the right places. So one of the aspects is, how much and to what extent we should talk about the successes as well as, the places that all of us have come to. So one statistics I'll give you is that, this is the largest ever roundtable I have, ever conducted, because we've always had very few women in leadership. So this itself is one good picture that I'm going to carry for some time, because this represents a very, that many number of years of experience.
I was thinking that it's the first time that I'm not the only lady in the panel.
Yeah, so I guess this is something that we should celebrate. It's not just happening, just like that. I really want to take this opportunity to say thank you that we are part of this round table here. So that's the first one. The second one is also about, the manager in you or a certain skill that you may have, which we have to identify early on. And that would go to, someone sitting in that position. But again, we all have those leadership roles in our own organization. So maybe, come up with a way or program, something that if it's already existing with one of you, you can share with us so that we don't have to reinvent the wheel. But there's a space that is required for nurturing that skill, which is very raw, early on. So that would be something that's my second takeaway. Maitri?
One more point I would like to add. So we usually tend to give away the credit to the people, to the family or the spouse or the support system that we have. And we take very less credit of our own work, right? And I think we need to start talking about our accomplishments as well and create more role models in this space so that we look up to someone else who have much more accomplished, but and also the next generation to see us as the role models. So we need to set up those kind of examples with our stories and also tell that what was our journey and also what we have done to reach there, both good and bad odds, everything. But we need to create more and more role models and take up I can have a mentor for myself and I can mentor someone else who is younger than me. So this kind of system I think will help in making more girls and women achieve what they want to do.
So connecting to that, I feel that we are very bad at marketing ourselves, starting from writing a resume or a profile document. So maybe the other thing that I'll probably propose as part of the white paper is that we do have to first teach how to speak about your own accomplishments in your own words and go completely unbiased about yourself. So maybe a training which is already available with someone can sponsor that and say that we will teach all of them at a very young age about how, making them comfortable to speak about themselves. So Manisha, you spoke about, only women there, most of the time in the, forums, but something that you would like to give away as a suggestion that we all can incorporate going forward.
See, I'll borrow from Michelle Obama's words. She said, have gigantic dreams. I think that is the starting point. Many times we're just happy, okay, we're doing job. That's big enough because even that is not so easy for a woman. So, or we're starting a business. They're saying, I'm doing business, I'm earning good enough, right? But they'll not think about having franchisee and going global. So that gigantic dreams is the starting point. And the other thing which I observed is asking for help. There was a Harvard study which was done, and when they gave a task to be done which couldn't be done by one person, and they gave it to the group to do, 85% of the men quickly asked for help to the others because they understood I can't do it. But only 20% of the women in that group hesitant to take help. While
about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to My Startup TV.
Sadhguru and J. Chowdhury, my old friend for last 40 years, and Dr. Nageshwar Reddy, whose patient I am. And I've never seen a doctor like him in my life. My wife is a doctor. She did practice for about 25 years free, being a gynecologist, but that is nothing compared to what Dr. Nageshwar Reddy is doing. And you all, and if you go to his hospital, poor and rich are treated same way. And I was surprised when I went for surgery. It didn't cost me nothing actually. So that is why I realized this is, in his hospital, it will be thousands of people who are there for treatment. So if any one of you have any gastro problem, related problems, I think you should visit their hospital, and they are the best in the world. This is confirmed to me by the leaders in their business. They said there is nothing like that in India. So I'm very proud, sir. You are my doctor. And about myself, I don't want to say much, but I came from a humble background like most of us are. I was born in a village near Vijayawada on the banks of Krishna River. So we had plenty of water. So if you dig 5 feet, you get water. So we had another problem. So when you have floods, not that kind of flood that you see in some other parts of India, but we have islands in the river, so everything gets submerged. And our village have fountains coming up, 15 feet, 20 feet fountains come up from the ground, and all the open wells will be flowing with water. So that is a bounty of water. But other parts of India don't have same problem. Then I went to Delhi to study. So I used to be at Prime Minister's house for some reason. Most of the time during my student days for 5 years, I found people were begging Mrs. Gandhi for a telephone connection. People used to say, मैडम जी मैं बाहर रहता हूँ, मेरा पिताजी का तबीयत नाजुक है, मैं बार बार नहीं आ सकूँगा, कृपया मेरे को एक टेलीफोन दिला दीजिए. So she used to hand over these papers, applications to her staff. And I've seen same problem with members of parliament. Their houses are flooded with people requesting for a phone. And I never knew that I was coming into telecom business after I got married. I shifted from Delhi to Bangalore. I always thank my wife for bringing me to Bangalore because this is the best place in the world to live. In India. Also one of the best places in the world to live. And I used to attend classes, summer classes of Sai Baba. And I still remember, I don't remember anything that I was taught in my school days, nor in my college days. But I always remember what Baba used to, tell us so many life experiences, and I still remember many of them. And I tell my children, my wife knows him when she was 5-year-old. So we are privileged, but I never met him personally. But I've heard him every summer, every day. So I thought in telecom, when I came to telecom business, we were having a license Raj. I'll take 3-4 minutes if it is okay. So I found we were an ancillary to ITI. ITI was the only company which made telecom equipments, and anybody, even government organizations like state government, cannot even think about telecom. So we were an ancillary to ITI. So we learned our initial technology from ITI, because that time India had only, in 1982, India had only 3 million phone lines. Our family came into telecom business when India had just 1 million phone lines in 1961. The population at that time was 300 million, and in 1982 it became 750 million. and the phone population was just grown by 2 million in 20 years. So the result was there is no connectivity even for state capitals. So there is no phone system in the village or taluka level. So you have to book a trunk call. And people used to say, "Aaj trunk call book kiya hai, pata nahi kab aane wala hai, main to idhar se hilunga nahi aaj." So I hope some of you understand Hindi. I can translate otherwise. So those were the days. You have to wait for 10 years to get a telephone line. And they were all analog systems, very difficult. You needed an operator assistance. So then came our friend Sam Petroda. So without remembering two names, Rajiv Gandhi and Sam Petroda, telecom revolution would not have arrived at all. And around 4,000 engineers, young engineers, like many of you, have started working for CDOT with a lot of passion. So he introduced 5-day week, which was not known to India at that time. So the result was, you can do it, in American style used to say, you can do it, do it. So engineers never left in spite of the best salaries offered by many multinational companies. The passion was there. So we became a licensee in 90s of CDOT, and I bought ABB's telecom division and United Telecom from Vijay Mallya. Both were sick companies. I revived them. So the result is, the government had a budget of 400 crores. It can only buy 2 lakh lines a year, and the revenue surplus was less than 400 crores. So the main problem was that. So then we solved the problem by reducing the cost of telecom equipment by 90%. So we sold at 10% of international prices. We made India can also deliver with local technology and with companies like us. So every 4th telephone exchange installed in India was built by us. Every 3rd village having a telecom network was built by us. And we have actually defeated all the multinationals you can remember. We have been able to compete with all of them. Did we make a lot of money? No. Why? Because we thought we should transform the country's infrastructure rather than just making money. So the rural India got connected fast. So you can imagine from a 20 STD stations we had in 1987-90, it has grown to, in 3 years, to 350,000 STD stations. That has transformed India because this 400 crores revenue surplus actually in 4th year became 40,000 crores. I have felt that excitement, and I have seen that excitement in my Department of Telecom. I was the only elected president of the Telecom Industry Association till today. And Rajiv Chandrasekhar used to be my vice president, and Sunil Mittal used to be my another vice president. So we became very, very popular because I was nicknamed as L1 Rao. Because every tender we quoted, we became L1. I told my staff, we are not working for money. I never took salary in last 40 years. I don't want to say this in public, but this is a fact. I never work for money. I don't have anything in my personal name. So we have done great service. I only thank my parents, my teachers, my colleagues. They are the ones who are responsible for achieving this. And in the COVID time, our organization worked day and night, called Trigen Technologies, and built COVID platform with all of you Indians, got vaccinated, still going on. We had done this with 400 people staying in different hotels in Delhi, elsewhere in the country, because we have done this kind of program in the past with the UNDP, etc. So in the healthcare, we have done some small contribution, and we are now bringing out what used to be banking industry used to suffer a lot without technology. Healthcare industry has same problem. We are trying to address that problem. I will work with J. Chowdhury and Nageshwar Reddy sir and others and make sure that we deliver similar value that we have delivered in telecom. So we also have, some of you are carrying 98450 series, and in Hyderabad 98490 series. You're all our customers. Thanks for continue to be our customers and support us. And we will support rural India. We'll also support urban India. And last, we made a cost-effective phone. We were the first one to introduce a dual SIM phone. We sold for 700 rupees, Carbon Mobile. Some of you who love cricket probably know about this name very well. We are this year making 20 million phones for Jio. And we have a big factory in Tirupati now. We employ 3,000 people in that factory. Thank you very much.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to MyStartupTV.
Sadhguruji, my friend Jaya Chaudhary Garu, all distinguished guests on the stage here. We also have friends off the stage. It's my great privilege today, after so many years of experience in going through the starting of the industries in rural area, building up the employment and where they need the job. We never had the opportunities earlier. And today, almost about 18,000 people we are employing completely, first time, majority of them into our factory from rural background. Most of them are agrarian culture. And today we are very proud and happy what we achieved. But still, I hope I will have some more things to go through. Now, through the foundation, we have been starting some of the activities connected to the rural area. After my retirement, I living in my village. Everybody says, how to do it? But I got more job now with all the rural, provided them the good access for the quality education, where it needs the preliminary, elementary, high school and higher secondary school, which give them a strong foundation to go forward into their life. And also skill development centers we are keeping. Those who have passed or dropped out from the high schools, government schools, whatever the schools are there. We prepare them to be good skilled worker. Any of the areas of the industry or construction or wherever they can go through that one, there is another contribution I would like to give it to the skilled manpower to the country. And rural health is another area we are working on that one. Primary health center, primary health care where the rural people don't have the access, getting some of the outside doctors, giving some of the consultation to go through that one there. These are the most of the times I am concentrating. We'll be hopefully give something, whatever the best service we can do. Thank you very much for the award, and really honored to take this award. Thank you.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to MyStartupTV.
I'd like to express my sincere thanks to Swami and executive authorities. I'm feeling so happy, and this is a real honor for me. It was about 20 years ago, so I found some very small reaction, and based on the reaction, I had a dream. So if it were, it become a very great medicine. Yeah, I'm so happy. Then, so I founded the startup company about 18 years ago. The road was very tough, but last June, my method was accepted in the very big medicinal company for diabetes production. The market size is a very, very big one. So it's called Blockbuster. So, but the experience was so tough. But I decided to change my experience to education. For example, I had a very nice connection with Stanford University and Stanford Research Institute. It's an old name of the institute name, but already I sent 300 students to the institute. It was a very, very nice experience, not for me, but succeeding our student. I think that kind of innovation leader education is very important. And what is innovation leader education? The most key point is, of course, technology. The technique of innovation is very important, but I think the meeting, coincidental meeting of the best ones. I met several good people in the last 20 years. And today and the last day, I also had a great chance to expand my friend from India and Australia and several countries. So my feeling, my impression, this startup festival is so successful. I think not only me, but all of the audience. So thank you for giving me and them for such a nice opportunity. Thank you very much again.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to MyStartupTV.
Pranam Swamiji. Your blessings always inspires us, motivates us to do more. And all the luminaries sitting here, they are the role models for all the startup companies who wants to build your companies. These are the role models. They are not doing the business only for money. And every one of them in their videos, whatever you have noticed, bottom line is serving the people, serving the society. And I know when I used to go to Nageshwar Reddy Garu, morning he comes at 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock to the hospital. I don't know what time he goes back to home. Almost 20, as you were telling, he's working 26 hours a day in the hospital serving the people. In fact, I'm also his patient. I've seen many times, sir, many people, they do the endoscopy and all that to diagnose the problem. He never used endoscopy at all. And only with a stethoscope he says, yes, you have got this problem, he gives one medicine, that's it. And that is the kind of doctor India has produced. And all of them are like that in their own rights. They have produced miracles, and it is possible. I think this is the lesson. All the entrepreneurs sitting here, all the people who are mentors, please mentor your startup companies to become like them. They are our role models. Sir, thank you very much for all of you. In spite of your busy schedules, you're able to come and receive the award from Swamiji and India Startup Festival. And only one request to all of you. whenever India Startup Festival comes to you, because we come to you to help some of the poorest startups who do not have much money, who do not have much contacts. We only bring such people, and they are going to solve many problems in the rural India. So my only request, whenever we come to you, give us some time to our startups. That is the only request. Why, I am asking all of you, because without your help, without your contacts, without your blessings, I don't think they'll be able to solve the rural problems in India. Because urban problems, a lot of people have made tons of money. I don't think I also have started 2 startups. It is very easy for me to, both the startups, one got listed in NASDAQ and we sold it to NVIDIA for $357 million. Other tech company also got acquired by NSE, National Stock Exchange. But when I started a startup company in agriculture area, and I'm a miserable failure. I could not do anything in spite of my putting all the money, 500 acres, and I'm a total failure as an agripreneur. Now I know what are the difficulties to solve the problems in the rural area. That's where I need all of your help. You have to, I know you're all busy people, but give some time so that our startups, we are going to find some startups who are going to find solutions, but your time, your blessings to them, your guidance to them will be very, very useful. With that request, I thank Swamiji for blessing the India Startup Festival. He's going to the greater heights, and we are going to help many startups, thousands of startups who are going to follow your methodology, follow your selfless way of serving the public, serving the poorest of the poor. With this, I want to thank all of you for gracing the event. Thank you, Swamiji.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to MyStartupTV.
Sadhguruji, J. Chaudhary Garu, and distinguished guests. When Ms. J. Chaudhary actually suggested that I should come for this award, I was a little puzzled. I didn't realize the magnitude of this festival itself. I'm so impressed with what's happening in this festival. I thought I must be a part of this in future also, because the quality of work and I think the thought behind this is extremely good. In fact, I'm honored and humbled by this award. There were 2 incidences that shaped my life. The first, when I finished my gastroenterology at the PGH Chandigarh and worked in Germany and came back, I started practice in Hyderabad. I had a huge practice. I was seeing 200 patients a day. I was making a lot of money, had problems with income tax and so on. So it looked like a very prosperous life. One day, 4 years since practice, my father called me. My father was a pathologist academician. He called me to the house and told me, scolded me that you're wasting your life. I said, why do you think? I've achieved everything. I've had a huge practice. I'm doing a lot of medicine for society. He said, no, that is not life. He said, have you built institutions? Have you looked after poor patients? Have you taught students? Have you done research? I looked back and realized I did nothing of that. I was just making money for myself. At that moment, I decided to change course and we started building this institution. So the small 2-room chamber that Ms. J. Chaudhary knows, we now have the world's largest gastroenterology hospital. It has, we see over 12 lakh patients a day, over a year, and of course treat thousands of them with complex gastrointestinal disease, attracting patients from all over the world. We have around
400 senior consultants, 200 junior doctors, about 5,600 staff. When I look back, I think this incident actually shaped my life. The second incident actually that shaped my life was when I was asked to be a part of the healthcare team for Puttaparthi Sai Baba. Sai Baba, even in his final days, when I was actually treating him, I could see the compassion in his face, the compassion in his eyes, the way he used to hold our hands. It was as if that he was guiding us and not we treating him. This compassion the last part of his life was something that really touched me. We then decided that a part of our life should also be devoted to serving rural poor. 70% of our patients are in rural poor who can't get access, just not alone money-wise, even social access to what is happening in the cities. We then set up these large rural camps where we now have about 20,000 villages in Telangana area where we look after these rural patients free of cost, supported by several trusts. And what was also very enlightening to us in this is that something is happening here. Our government, all the local governments are doing a good job. Many of these villages now are being given good water supply, sanitation. Infectious diseases have disappeared. We don't see diarrheal disease, but something else is happening, unfortunately. This something else is because of Western influences. All these villages are having the so-called ultra-processed foods, Western habits, and Western type of culture. And this is now giving rise to Western type of diseases. We have now one of the world's largest incidence of IBD, inflammatory bowel disease, which was not an Indian disease, never seen before, but now we are seeing such large numbers because of this westernization. Our mission has now become to reverse this. We should come back to our culture, come back to our root, even the eating pattern that we had before. If we come back to our natural circumstances, I'm sure we not only lose our old infective diseases, but we don't get this new Western disease. And this has become a mission for me now. Hopefully, with help from a lot of friends, we'll be able to achieve this. And we at the AAG hospitals are very committed to bringing this transformation. And I'm extremely grateful to Sadhguru for receiving this award from him and Mr. Jay Chowdhury for the opportunity to be here and witness all the good work that's being done by India Festival. Thank you very much.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to MyStartupTV.
Sadhguruji Pranam. Thank you, Jay, and all the stalwarts on the dais here and friends amongst you. Any award is humbling, but something to be called as a lifetime is even more humbling. And it's almost surreal that in the midst of all the stalwarts here and at the hands of Sadhguru, I received something already called as a Lifetime Achievement Award. And perhaps a time to reflect, in a sense, probably a shorter story. The trigger was not far from here, about 300 kilometers from here, in a village near Kurnool. I was out to do my project work for National Service Scheme in the college in 1980, just to do a socio-economic survey of village, and that probably was the first time, in a sense, I walked and stared at poverty firsthand, coming from an industrial township. And what hit straight is that despite working so hard, the farmers remained in poverty with a very simple equation that everything that they sell is sold at a wholesale price at the beginning of a very long chain. And anything that they buy as farm input is bought at a very high price at the end of another long chain. And in some sense that triggered a purpose for my own professional life. If I were to do something with my professional life, possibly it's reversing this equation. Is it possible to get farmers to buy things at wholesale and sell at equivalent of retail price? And years later, as technology evolved, telecom revolution that we just heard, and things of that sort really enabled, together with the enterprise strengths of ITC and with the eChaupal project, it was possible for us to reverse this equation and the whole project goes from strength to strength, and today we are about 4 million farmers, and the near-term aspiration is to start at least 10 million farmers in terms of the rural areas that we serve and their families. Thank you very much. Certainly it's once again a very humbling experience. Thank you.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to MyStartupTV.
Thank you, Sadhguruji. Thank you, Jaya Garu. It's an honor, and I'm humbled to be here. For the last couple of days, what I'm experiencing is positivity. And what I'm seeing is humbleness in everyone that I actually get to meet so far. And this is the place where Mokshagundam Vishweshwaraya Garu is from. And what I used to read when I was a kid was, if your business is to sweep in the best possible way, that none can excel you in the world. And in fact, I do that. I do that religiously. And anything that you do with your heart. Anything you do, you must have a purpose. And there's no agenda-driven approach. That giving back is part and parcel of our DNA. And in fact, I do that. And Jaya Garu, you are my role model. I actually work for a financial firm. Again, you know how we all think. Money matters, but at the same time, humanity and the way we work as human beings and touching hearts and lives do matter. And a couple of years ago, exactly about 3 years ago, I started to get autistic people get engaged into technology. And I started as a pilot, getting about 5 people, ran a pilot for 6 months. And the results were phenomenal, and they showed 10x results. And now we have in our firm more than 50 autistic people who are on the spectrum working for us. And it's not an accident. We truly believe in doing it. We wanted to do that religiously. And again, I run quality engineering. That's not traditional testing. It's a future readiness. And there are brothers and sisters across the world. They really need future readiness, and they need the path. For that reason, I spoke to J.A. Chaudhary Garu, and I'm going to start a foundation called Quality Engineering Foundation to really find people across the world to give back and to support and really show them the path. Thank you very much for the honor, and thank you very much for everything.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to MyStartupTV.
It is said in Bhagavad Gita, Yadyada charati shrestha tattad deve taro janah sayat pramanam kurute lokas tadanuvartate. Which means, as the noble ones set an example for the others to follow, that is how the remaining society follows them. And whatever they do, that is what the society does later. So it is upon the noble ones to be exemplars in their own field of work, to create right kind of example and ideal for the rest of the society follow. And today we are very happy to celebrate so many people who have excelled in their fields, who have set an example for the next generation of entrepreneurs, business leaders, industry leaders to follow. And what a wonderful range of stalwarts, from fintech to pharmacological research to telecom revolution to storage, energy of storage, to on this side gastroenterology, I find it difficult to pronounce, gastroenterology, so Reddy Garu, and in agricultural revolution, and we have people from impact investment. And look at it, of course, the end of the spectrum is Nasimurthy Garu. He has an education revolution, his rural education revolution. And revolution is in the blood of Mr. J. Chaudhary. He is a revolutionary of his own kind, and he has brought about this great revolution in startup ecosystem, a thinking of a different kind. And I have been always telling him that what you are doing is amazing, because you are setting a new ideal, new standard, a new framework for startups to build themselves in a way that they become ideal examples for all the world to follow. And as he and I discussed, it's not about valuations, it's about value creation. And that is what, when I was listening to Mr. Rajaram, he was telling, he hasn't made any money, but he has brought about a transformation in the entire country. Yes, we have seen that India a couple of decades ago, when we could not connect to our people, even in emergency. But today, telecommunication is on our fingertips. More than probably maybe a billion, 1.2 billion people are using telecommunication technology today. So also battery storage, so also agricultural revolution, so also healthcare revolution, research, innovation, impact investments. Every of these ideas have revolutionized the way societies are today.
Sadhguru, Mr. Chaudhary, I'm a little embarrassed, to be honest, to be on the stage along with every dignitary here. Lifetime Achievement Award is an award once in a lifetime, and Sadhguru, I expect to be around for much longer. My journey started especially on the area of impact investing 23 years back. in 2000. Like most people, I had seen some poverty, but I got introduced to extreme poverty in the forest of Odisha. And it appeared to me that a question like, can poor become rich, looked very naive, but a very genuine question. It also appeared to me that to become rich, you need to be an entrepreneur. I came from a middle-class family. My father was a government servant. Nobody in the 300 years of history that I could trace in my family had ever been an entrepreneur or a businessman. So it seemed like that if you can actually convince entrepreneurs to create jobs and livelihoods for poor or reduce risk and vulnerabilities in their life, you might be able to make a difference. And one thing I realized that there are enough entrepreneurs who had the willingness and desire to bring about a change in the life of the people, but in absence of capital, money, it was impossible for them to go in this hard, very difficult and long-term journey. And I decided to become the guy who will collect the capital. My problem is I'm a forester by training. And while it is a problem, it's also an advantage. I did not know how difficult it is to manage finance, to raise capital, to convince capital to leave the idea of greed and to look at sustainability. It's been a long journey. We have come some distance over the last 20 years. Today we manage more than 10,000 crores. But more importantly, we have invested in 75 startups. Some of them have gone ahead and impacted millions of lives. It is not our credit, it is their credit. They are the ones who are impacting lives. But we are committed to take this idea of building ecosystems, making impact beyond Indian shores. And so we made small initiatives in Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Indonesia, now in East Africa. It seems like over the next 10 years, we took a belief that we can take this 10,000 crores to a lakh of crores. And then align ourselves to Sustainable Development Goals. And I actually just wanted to bring everybody to what Sustainable Development Goals stand for. In 2015, 193 countries of the world signed an accord to imagine a world that never existed before. A world without hunger, without poverty, without inequity. Now this is a world that Homo sapiens, since they started walking straight, have not seen. And for us, those who are sitting in the audience, have the capability, both in terms of ideas, entrepreneurial capabilities and capital, to bring that change. And we want to be that catalyst that allows the world to achieve that goal. Maybe by 2030, and if not, continue to follow this approach and reach that stage where nobody sleeps hungry and nobody is malnourished. Thank you so much for recognizing me.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to MyStartupTV.
Products and services, and also most importantly their experiences with use cases, how to adopt digital transformation amongst all the MSMEs. We are already talking of I 5.0, and you all would be wondering, we have not yet been done with I 4.0, and 5.0 is being mentioned in most circles here. We heard in the morning session a great deal about sustainability. So all that is happening is we are trying to integrate I 4.0 with making it more human-centric and making sure the man and machine coexist, and sustainability as the other aspect. So it's an integration of I 4.0 and I 5.0. So I don't want to steal the thunder from our speakers here. We have Mr. Tushar from Mahindras and Mahindras. We have Atom State represented by Mr. Venkat, who's going to talk is about AI and ML applications and how to implement them in our businesses. And we have Karthik from CADFEM, which is a global partner company for ANSYS. Some of you would be using ANSYS software. ANSYS also has been on the forefront of startups funding. We're going to hear all about this. Over to Mr. Tushar to tell us all about digital transformation and to what extent M&M has benefited by providing end-to-end solutions. Over to you, Tushar. Thank you.
So, good morning friends, colleagues and seniors. It's my pleasure to be presenting in MSME Summit organized by CII. Before I move to my presentation, first of all I will like to thanks to entire CII team for providing this platform to all the industries where we can share our knowledge, our initiatives, our practices, which can be helpful and mutually benefited to all the industry. Moving on to my presentation, first of all, I would like to we are representing Mahindra & Mahindra Auto and Farm Sector Division. We will be showcasing our journey towards the low-cost automation. Precisely, we are going to touch the low-cost automation sector. There are selective case studies which will be benefiting other industries that we are focusing on, and affordable digital technologies. So that is our agenda for today's presentation. With me, there is my team, Mahindra & Mahindra team. So Mr. Uma Shankar and Mr. Sridhar has also joined this session. So we are representing Mahindra & Mahindra panel. So our subject for today is low-cost automation and affordable digital technologies that we are touching upon. And we are having our manufacturing units present in Telangana state at Zairabad, both auto and farm division. So most of the case studies are from that only. This is the overview of Mahindra Group. We are having presence in 11 sectors, 150 plus companies, 100 plus countries. Particularly, we are today focusing on farm and automotive division. Perhaps we are the one and only who are manufacturing two-wheeler and 20-wheeler, both the things under auto and farm divisions. This is our global footprint. We are present in multiple countries. Our R&D centers are there in multiple countries and also manufacturing. This is our product portfolio at Zairabad plant in Telangana specifically. So we have recently launched 2 new products in auto also and farm also. Both are our techno-savvy products. One is EV related commercial vehicle, and then our all new tech pack ready tractor, which are going to be launched, which are launched at global platforms, and that will be having many new features introduced first time in the tractor industry. So these are different 7 models which are introduced through OJA that has been recently launched on 15th of August. Focusing on to our journey as a Mahindra and Auto Farm sector, this is our journey toward digitization. So we have started with our strategy and our program formation since 2016-17, and this is the way we have moved ahead. So we have focused on multiple themes like IoT, robotics, digital operations, which will be coming forward into this presentation. All this has been integrated in our own customized MES platform, which are called as Drona. So why technology? So these are the challenges which industry is facing nowadays. So increasing model complexity, improve competitiveness in the market. To survive in the market, we have to improve all these parameters. We have to go through this complexity of the models and yet maintain our margins. So for doing that, we have adopted the different approach. We have simplicity, customer centricity, process robustness, flexibility. These are we have adopted into our approach, and working on these initiatives, we have formed our case studies, which we are going to showcase with you. So these are the major themes: low cost automation, digitized operations, IoT, and new technologies. I will skip this slide because this is going to be covered in future. Okay. In low cost automation, we are going to present a few case studies. So this is our main drive, no fault forward. So whatever we are manufacturing on the particular station, that has to be first time right, and there should not be any fault going forward to the inspection. So based on that things, we have showcased few of the case studies. This is our one of the case studies in which we have addressed near about 400 plus failure modes, and from those failure modes we have categorized them into 4 different buckets in our assembly operations, like torquing, part missing, wrong assembly, similar looking part. These are the areas which need to be addressed for covering major failures in our processes. So these areas we have addressed through basically we are having both legacy of operations. There are old plants which are running on the manual operation. So we have gone for the requirement-based, need-based digital solutions on those stages. So that we are focusing. So these are few of the examples which we have done at our plants. So for torque missing, there are legacy tools which are pneumatically operated. So this has been fitted with some electronic and IoT-based devices to control the torque and specification to meet the requirements that we are addressing those with the first torque missing case study. The second is part missing, in which we are going for the multiple type of sensors, right from proximity sensors, inductive-based sensors, laser sensors, steel vision sensors. So depending on the requirement, we are adopting this sensor technologies to detect the part missing part missing area. Then in wrong assembly, we are also, this is one of the case study in which we have used a laser-based sensor so that we will know that the part orientation is right and there is no wrong assembly being made on the particular stage. Then similar looking parts for this, we have also used different vision technologies. So at the low cost area, we have used the color-based sensing so that we will identify that the part is right or wrongly assembled. This is one of the video which will showcase to you how we have modified the stage for no fault forward. This is a piston and ring assembly. After this assembly, this part has been checked for multiple parameters before going forward with different technologies, like from scanning, from vision sensing, sensor-based sensing. Once it passes through all these parameters, then only the part will go forward. So we are ensuring that whatever we are producing on the stage, at that stage only it will be addressed. So these are the benefits of it. 100% built-in quality, that is a focus area. This is one of the case study of spot missing concern, in which the operator actually do the welding job on the station, and many a times the operator misses the spot. So this particular case study is focusing on some small electronic devices which are fitted inside the controllers, and those are connected with the assembly fixture, so that unless and until the required spots has been taken, the assembly will not get dismantled from that particular fixture. So this is the basically case study. This is a small representation of the process. Once the operator will finish the entire spotting, then only the part will get disassembled from the stage. Then these are the weld spot counters. So many times, many assemblies have different models, and with respect to different model, these are different spot weld configurations. So with respect to that, it is a complex operation for operator to remember all these spots. So we have integrated this particular spot counter with different models, so that whenever the particular model get assembled on the fixture, that particular model spot counter will be activated, and unless and until operator weld those many spots, it will not get disassembled from the fixtures. This is to address the model complexity that is getting added into the portfolios. So once the required spot has been reached, then only the fixture will get declamped. So the benefits of this has, again, no fault forward, so 100% built-in quality. This is one of the case study for IoT. This particular case study, nowadays we are having a lot of technologies available inside the tools where we can connect the tools with the softwares and we can have the data for the traceability. But this particular case study is focusing on the legacy tools which we have modified for getting right specification, product and process specification, and then this data is getting logged into the software and it is represented on the dashboard. So this is with the very few thousands of amount we have done it inside our plant only. So this is basically a dashboard which represents different torquing status of the tools, and with respect to particular model number or particular tractor number, you can basically have this data available with you, so to know that the process has been done right. This is small video for that. In new technology, we are actually now focusing more on vision-based systems. Wherever the sensors will not work, so we are focusing to go for vision-based systems. And also at new production lines, we are also focusing to address critical stations with robots and cobots. So this is one of the examples which we are working in Zairabad plant only. So this is cabin assembly line, so in which the electrical testing of different lights and different indicators have been done by the vision cameras. So this cabin is being tested by cameras and the data has been stored into the softwares for future traceability. So with robots and cobots, we in Mahindra as entire AFS, we are having 500 plus robots, 50 plus cobots installed. So whatever new lines are getting installed, on which we are also focusing to go for critical operations like hemming, sealant, and then painting. For those things we are choosing the critical operations and we are selective in our approach to go for the robotics and entire automation. This is one of the video of painting robots facility installed at Zairabad. This is a sealer application process done by cobot. So these are the initiatives or I can say automations which are helping us to make a first time right product and no fault forward. As I told you in my first slide, this is our MES platform. This is manufacturing execution system. This is customized developed for our operations. We call it as a drona. So this we use for connecting our different operations together. Like in our company, we are having a different set of operation right from sales side order till the dispatch. So to have the entire visibility of the processes and to swift decision making and also to manage the operations digitally and also effectively, this platform has been developed. So many of the tools like process data, many of the plug data as well as the operation data has been logged onto this platform, and from this we are having a visibility of entire process and what is going right or what is going wrong into the operations. So I will leave you with, this is my last slide I think, and I will leave you with small AV after this. So 2-3 minutes AV is there. It is self-explanatory, you can easily understand.
Thank you, Tushar. It's very heartening to see the automation right in our neighborhood, Zahirabad. I would urge members here, if there's any opportunity to visit the plant, which M&M has been encouraging us to visit the plant every year. I've done that, and it's a great learning experience. And to see all the automation happening from our own Indian company, I think it fills my heart. Thank you, Tushar. We will have the Q&A at the end, the other two speakers completing their talk. We are allocating good amount of time because the subjects are very interesting. I'm sure there's many queries from the audience here. I request our next speaker, Mr. Karthik Chittapu, who is the Director, Customer Excellence from CADFEM, India, to take over.
First of all, thanks for inviting me for this conference, and it's my pleasure to give a small update on, what are the new technologies or digital engineering in terms of simulations. Okay, can you go to the first slide, please? Oh, I can go. Yeah. So I come from a company called CADFEM, and I think the name itself says much about digitalization, right? So it's the CAD, which is a virtual designing of yours, and there's a FEM, which is a virtual simulation of your products. How many of you are doing a product development using simulations here? Okay, only 3 hands I see. Okay. I think we'll see why it is so important for MSMEs, to do a simulation-driven product development. And we also talk about a digital engineering in a very broader sense, not only just in terms of product development, starting from the conceptual phase to the in-product phase, where we are talking about ADAS, digital twins, and other things. Okay? So, just a brief intro of our company. CADFEM is basically a global company, which is our parent company is in Germany, and in India we started in 2007. So what we are majorly into is, we actually are one of the largest producers of simulation technologies in the world. Okay. Along with it, we also kind of have 40 years of experience in terms of rapid product development and also innovating for a lot of our customers. Especially we deal with a lot of MSMEs in both India as well as Germany, Southeast Asia, and all other countries. And also we deal with a lot of bigger customers, starting with like Bosch or let's say Grundfos and other companies too. Okay. And the major advantage what we have as a company, a group is because of a global presence, we could develop an expertise in different physics, because simulations, when you talk about it, or digital engineering, when you talk about it, it's no more one single engineering or one single physics for that sake. So we have a vast range of physics which we are dealing with, starting with the structures. We talk about CFD, we talk about electromagnetics part of it, both high frequency, low frequency. Like low frequency, when I talk about like motors and all, when I talk about high frequency, I'm talking about PCB boards, radars, and then we are talking about optics, where you are talking about LiDARs, laser weapons or optics lenses and everything, right? And then we are talking about embedded systems and also the functional safety and cyber security of your products. That's becoming very much important nowadays, because of a lot of OEMs are asking for to make sure that your product is, because you have a software and it should not be hacked, right? So the cyber security becomes very, very important for all your products when you're offering it to your customers, right? So all this comes into picture, and those all things we can simulate and test and virtually test them and get a much more insight into all of this. So about us in India, I think as I said, we started in 2007. Our parent company is in Hyderabad. It's hardly a few hundred meters from here. But we also have offices wide across India in 7 different locations: Bangalore, Chennai, Pune, Delhi, Coimbatore, and Ahmedabad. Okay. So we have a wide range of expertise. So we deal with, in India itself, we have around 300 plus customers, and majority of them are MSMEs. Okay, so for us, digital engineering is very, very important. So we start with the centric of customer, where customer wants to innovate, make their products more efficient, and also reduce the cost of their products, right? So when that is what they want to do, the first thing what they want to do is how to adopt the simulation. Okay, that's the first step. How can they use simulations to drive their innovation or drive their product? Second thing is to automate the simulation itself so that you can democratize it across the users, and you can make it much more user friendly, because doing simulation is one front, and making user friendly and because a lot of people were talking about the skill gaps and all, right? So to overcome that, you can also automate it and actually make it much more button click solutions, where you can do your simulations, especially when you're talking about sectors like non-engineering, non-traditional engineering sectors like pharma, where they are using simulations nowadays. They want to go in silico instead of in vivo and in vitro, right? So when you're talking about in silico, that is something which they are adopting nowadays, and they want to do simulations upfront to understand how the mixing is happening, how you manufacture, how your stunts you are manufacturing are going to work, what's the life of those stunts, or if you are doing a hip implants, you want to have a customer-centric data, which is very specific to each and every customer. You get the scan data, and based on the scan data, you want to actually do an implant using additive manufacturing or the different manufacturing techniques, right? So when these people who are coming from other backgrounds wants to do simulations, the automations become very, very, very important. And then over that, the top circle really talks about the digital engineering part of it, where we offer services to customer, because selling a software or offering a software to the customer is not the end thing, right? That will not lead to the success for the customer. So it becomes very important for us to integrate the software solutions along with the services, along with the knowledge transfer and the training sessions and everything. So that is where we really built on IT infrastructure. So we offer the hardware to the customer, which is very simulation centric. I'm not talking about just the IT hardware, but for simulation itself, we need to customize the hardware so that it can run very efficiently. Then we are talking about the knowledge, what they have to build. The major challenge what you're facing nowadays is to get the core engineers, because a lot of colleges are dropping the core engineering courses out of their curriculums, and it's becoming very problematic to get skilled engineers for your simulation purpose. And that's what we want to also bridge a gap. Okay, so today's topic, we majorly talk about the digital engineering part of it for MSMEs, and this is very, very important because the MSMEs are a key lever for the India 5 million economy, right? So we are the 30% contributor for our GDP, and 42% of our exports, right? That's what people were talking since morning, and that is very important to concentrate upon this sector and how we can enable the MSME sector to kind of adopt that digital engineering for them. Okay, so the main challenges is for all the industry sectors is to drive the innovation, complexities, because you're not dealing with one single physics now. You have the interconnectivity between different things, and now you're talking about Industry 4.0, where you are talking about the automation, where we have a lot of sensor data coming in. You have a lot of lens, LiDAR is there because the camera has to see it, get the data, and based on the data, let's say you have an ADAS system. Based on the LiDAR in your car, your autonomous vehicle has to perform. If a person comes in front of you, based on the LiDAR sensor, it has to take the signal, capture it, and based on that, it has to apply a certain force on your brake so that it stops at a safe distance from the person, right? So this all becomes very complex, and we are really talking about connections between different systems and different physics here. That has become a huge problem. Then the cycle time. With so much of innovation going on, so much of competition, the cycle time to the market has come down drastically. Previously, maybe people used to take maybe 8 years, 5 years to develop a car to come out. Now they're coming down to 3 years to develop a car and coming out into the market, right? So thus times are coming down drastically, and the innovation and the complexity is going up. Okay, so right now in the industry, there are two interesting things happening. One is the technology is really helping you to reduce the development time. The second thing is the destructive part of it. The simulation, the technologies are becoming so and so advanced, your present models, present things are becoming obsolete, right? It's no more make sense. So when you want to really talk about leveraging the advanced technology which is developing day in and day out, and to leverage your legacy technology, for them to have a proper marriage between them, you need to have a digital engineering. Otherwise, there's no other way you can take it forward, right? So to actually reduce the cost, increase the quality, and evaluate the risk, we need the simulations, and there's no other way to move forward. Okay? So this is one of the survey which happened in US. So they want to see, with simulations and without simulations, what is the difference? And you can clearly see 21% improvement with simulations to launch the time to market. 22% they could meet the targets. 17% increase in the quality also. So these are the important driving factors for any MSME, right? So these are three things what you want to look at and make sure that your product is coming out in market in a given time frame, and you are also with a low cost. So how do we get it right in the first, early itself? That is very important, because most of your cost is decided in the initial phase itself, before even you start simulation, where in the conceptual phase you have something, and like 85% of your cost is decided in the initial phases. So if you want to make some changes, the influence of these changes will be much less in the later stages. But in the early stages, if you want to make some changes, you have much scope and you can improve it, and the effect of it is much more wider reach. Okay? And with the traditional techniques where you're pushing your design to the end and doing a prototyping and going for testing, and if something is not working, coming back, this is going to take a lot of time and a lot of cycles, right? So what you want to do is you want to implement the simulations in the first phase itself, so that you can understand your product much better, optimize it, innovate it, and then you can reduce the cost and everything. And then once you finalize your design, then you can go for your prototyping, when you are much more confident that it's going to pass and go forward, right? Nowadays, simulations are becoming so, realistic that people want to reduce testing drastically, just to one test, maybe two tests at the end of it. But most of the times they want to avoid it completely and take simulation as a benchmark. And I think a lot of the defense sectors are also asking their suppliers to submit the simulation reports, right? That is becoming much more important nowadays. And I think a lot of the OEMs, automotive OEMs, aerospace OEMs are also asking you for these reports to be submitted, so that you can make sure that your product is compliance to their requirement and everything. Okay, so that is what I was talking about, the virtual prototyping and simulation based product development. Okay, so there are three important technologies out of the 10 for digital engineering which are actually disrupting or help the industry to move forward. I think the first one is the AI ML. That is something one of the dignitaries is going to talk about it in the next session. But the next one is additive manufacturing. I think this is one of the technology a lot of people are using nowadays to do the prototyping, or also taking it to the next level of mass production. So the reason why additive manufacturing has become more popular is because it can manufacture any kind of complex shapes, and you can actually make lightweighting much more possible, right? But it has its own problems. I think this is not a platform to discuss about it. We can take it later. And the third one is the simulation front, where you can see a lot of people are saying the simulation is very, very important, right? So I think let's see how the simulations develop. I think in 1970s, simulation was only for academics. They were doing a lot of research and they were developing. That's fine. Next 85 to 2000, having no simulation, it's still okay. It's normal. A lot of people are not doing simulations. In 2000 to 2015, simulation has become a normal. A lot of people started using simulation. It's still not a compulsion, but still a lot of people have started doing it. As you can see the examples here, you can see it in the optics field, you can see it in the sensor field, you can see in amphibian mobility services here, oil and gas, other sectors where simulations were not traditionally used. It has moved into that. In 2015 to 20, no simulation is not normal. So people felt that, okay, you're not doing simulation still, you should start doing it now. I think as you can see, the technology of IoTs, 5Gs, electrification, ADAS and all actually has pushed simulations. As you can see here, we are doing a signal integrity problem here. to generate, what are the losses, what are the temperature generated because of that, and then see the thermal and cooling part of it. And then we are talking about, because of the thermal cooling and all, how the soldering is working. And if these are failing, your component is going to fail, right? So you can see 3 different physics combined together, and you need simulations for that. Not only that, we are also talking about crosstalks between 2 different devices, because nowadays, IoTs have become so much. We have, Bluetooth everywhere right nowadays, right? So there should not be a cross connection between them, how they are kind of working. All these things can be tested in simulations. Okay, and e-mobility, I think this is where a huge chunk of MSME customers are supplying to this, where they're talking about motors, batteries, the charging systems, So the motors have become very important, and we have a lot of motor customers itself in India whom we are dealing with, who are using our softwares to develop their motors and innovate with respect to characteristics of the motor, improving efficiency. The noise has become much more problematic because sustainability and environmental norms have become much more stringent nowadays, right? And the fatigue failure of it. The first thing is to get the efficiency map of the motor for different